welcome, wonderful audience, to this special moment with really and truly one of my favorite human beings on the planet, Annie Arnoult. I am her very proud aunt. I am a fan. I am in awe by all that she does. And I'm just going to dive right in. Annie Arnoult is the founder of Hunter Dance Studios and Open Dance Project. What in the world? I mean, the first one's kind of easy, Hunter Dance. That is a incredible dance studio. And Annie, let's start with that. Tell me everything that you all offer at Hunter Dance.
We really try to be a center for contemporary dance. So it's people coming together from all ages and all ability levels, learning and training in contemporary dance. And the beautiful thing about contemporary dance is that just means the dance of the now. So it can mean actually all kinds of different techniques, and we have that. Our core techniques for our pre-professional program, if you are a student who is actually going towards a career path in dance, our core techniques are modern and ballet, but we make sure that those students who are on that pre-pro path are also taking aerial dance. They are learning acro, which is acrobatic dance. They are building strength in dance theater, which means that they're also learning how to talk and use their voices in their work. They are taking hip hop. They are doing a lot of partnering. So it's that kind of work. And then it's really, really important to me that it is a place that has not just dance, but also music. So we have live musical accompaniment for all of our professional classes. And that's a whole tier of what we do. So we have professional classes in the mornings during work hours for our professional company Open Dance Project, but I'll talk about a little bit later. But that is open. Those classes are not just for the company. They are open to the entire professional community here in Houston and all over. We have folks who come in from out of town to take those classes, and those are ballet and modern, and a wonderful technique called counter technique, which is a contemporary dance technique developed in Amsterdam, and a wonderful contemporary ballet technique called Moon's Ballet that is taught by this amazing woman here in town, Lindsay McGill, who's everybody's favorite dancer. So there's that whole professional side, there's the pre-professional side, and then my real love is the adult programming that is from you could never have danced in your entire life and walk into Hunter Dance Center and take hip hop, musical theater dance, tap, modern, contemporary, ballet, and people do. And we have such an amazing community of adult dancers who through dancing have come to know each other and love each other and like go to movies together and that whole kind of thing. So that side of it really has my heart because it's about community building for all the people here in the Heights and surrounding us all over Houston. And then it's really about creating a place for our professional dancers and teachers to go deep into their creative research and their research in what it means to teach dance to all kinds of people of all ages.
Wow, the dance of now. Very, very cool. Annie, and by the way, I do need to get on that list for tap dancing.
Please come. You would
I
love
want to
to
throw that
have
out there.
fun.
The tap dancing is just, I watched something last night and these kids were out and I said, I've got to call Annie about getting into tap.
It is the most fabulous class. It is so fun. Alyssa Vega teaches Camille Miller. It is so fun. You cannot I sit at the door because it's usually like as I'm trying to scoop kids out, but I sit at the door and I'm like, ah. So it is
I'm
so
going to get
fun.
Annie
And you
and
can do
some of
back
your
to
other
back
aunts.
tap into musical theater. So you like do your tap class and then you stay one more hour and you're doing like, little chorus line action. It's really,
I love it.
really fun. And it's
So fun.
meant to be fun. It is like be fun, be creative, have a great time. Those adult classes, it's not about being a professional dancer. It's
Right,
about getting together and dancing.
right. Which is all really we want to do, right?
Oh, it's all I want to do for sure.
For sure. And most of everyone you know. Okay, this is a very exciting year. This is a very exciting time because this is the 10-year anniversary
Mhm.
for Open Dance Project.
Yep.
And would you please share? I mean, I'm covered in chills. Why this is so significant. Before you do that, I'd like to brag a little bit. Audience, I want you to understand, and we'll get Annie to tell us a little bit about just what she's doing today. But over throughout this 10-year period, 79,000 have been served through workshops and performances.
I'll say now it's 86,000 because
What?
between now and that was written and now we've served 7,000 more people. It's not bad. I mean,
Unbelievable.
that's the, yeah.
It just because you all are constantly out there, constantly in the community, constantly touching base and doing everything that you can. I mean, it's quite amazing. And campuses that serve kindergarten through 12th grade, if I understand this correctly, are served across the Houston area. I can't wait for you to talk a little bit about that. And this is interesting, and maybe this number has changed, but 49 world and regional premieres. I mean, what? This is very cool. Teachers have been provided professional development, and that's, I bet this is more, 1,121. But that's really more, I bet, by now.
I'm sure that is because we did professional development on February 14th, but I couldn't tell you exactly that number.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
what
well,
is
more than
so
that.
amazing is that I want the audience to know, first of all, follow along, and of course, all of the links and social media and all. You need to follow this incredible young professional and her companies because you're making a huge difference from your awareness, and I'm all about, and for prayers lifting them up to grow. And then, of course, treasures, anything. I want you to leave here today. So please pay attention, excuse me, to how Annie is going to share with us how they support the community and all of these people so generously and the difference it's making in our lives by what they are doing. So Annie, tell us a little bit about this 86,000 group that you all have served.
That number is all encompassing. So that covers everybody who has been, we've worked with in residencies and workshops, who we've worked with in our school performances. We take our performances to schools and are actually in their assemblies and their cafeterias and that kind of work. And then also our audiences. But I think the goal of Open Dance Project, whereas Hunter Dance Center is about bringing people under our roof and coming together and having a community there, Open Dance Project is going out. We're going out into the community and breaking down barriers
Mm,
to access to contemporary dance theater. And we are really committed. I really see my artist, teacher, community activist self. And when I say community activist, I just mean activator. Like I want people like active, engaged, and
yes.
moving forward in their lives, kind of leaning into their power and seizing it to make the world a better place and to engage in a way that's positive and that has loving connection and the I think the generative power of people coming together in moving bodies is just our strongest power. I really do believe that embodied power is transformative. So this work, we are very conscious about saying we're going to have this season of professional performance that is exciting, that is different and new. We do our heart is really in what we call immersive performance. We don't just call it that. That is what it is. And what that means is it's a literal breaking down of the barriers between us as the performers and the artists and the audience. So it's something now, in the commercial world, we know Meow Wolf. Some people, have a little bit more experience with something like Meow Wolf, which is an interactive arts experience you go through. We actually performed at the opening. We just had a new Meow Wolf here in Houston. We performed at that opening because we are immersive performers. And so what it is in our worlds when we're doing it for our shows, if for example, this upcoming show, Panopticon, is this retro futuristic love story set in this dystopian world. So the audience walks in and kind of like you would in like Epcot at Disney World, you walk in, and I used that as an inspiration. You walk in and you are inside of the world. So the walls are all around you, the dancing is all around you. You're not seated separately in an audience that is apart from the action. You're walking through it like you would a museum or an art gallery. And part of that is because I believe in the power of that intimate, immediate experience. And felt selfishly like as a dancer, I was always getting the best seat in the house because I was on the stage. And gosh, isn't that selfish? So we are doing a literal breaking down of barriers by saying, come on in, audience, come be a part of this show. You don't have to dance. You don't have to actually perform. There's no like, it's not like a magician where we're going to call you onto the stage, but you're there as close as you want to be to it. On the education side, we're going in and all of that work, the breaking down barriers that happens there is that we're primarily targeting schools and community centers that are working with students who either come from low socioeconomic backgrounds or from some other historically underserved population. So I'm really committed right now. We're doing something called the Immersive Access Initiative, which is really looking forward to these next 10 years, saying we are
Mm.
really looking deep into dance and disability. How can we're starting a partnership with the Lighthouse, which serves kids and adults who are blind. We're doing a lot of work with what you call audio description, which is translating, describing what's happening physically on the stage for people. Our wonderful Wizard of Oz, we had 9 audience members who were there, came first and got to touch everything, touch the costumes, touch the set and the scenery, touch some of the performers and learn, what they felt like and see them through their hands, and then experienced the show through audio description by having a connection and having the action described on stage. And then we make a real effort to have everything we do be multisensory. So yes, they're hearing the dance to action happen on stage, but we also have really worked hard to make it an engaging audio environment in general. So that even if you can't see what's happening, you can feel and hear what's happening because we also talk. And because,
Mhm.
so from it's very conscious that we're saying we are gonna anything that's going to keep you from experiencing this show, we want to take away. Anything that's going to keep you from experience dance education, we want to take away.
Mm.
And we work really hard. It means that we constantly have something new to learn,
Yes.
new challenges to overcome ourselves because the way we were taught to teach dance was
Right.
two-dimensional and was one way.
Right.
But it's really exciting as an artist, and this is where I, feel like all of our company members, that crossing over between artist and teacher, it really helps because they're engaged constantly in the practice of inventing new things. So the need to invent new ways to deliver this material to our audiences who are coming from different perspectives and lots of different abilities isn't it's not daunting to us. It's exciting to us. And so that's really what it is. It's that performance side or the education and workshop side. And we're trying to break down those barriers from a sensory perspective, from an ability perspective, mixing the disciplines, dance and theater and music perspective. Trying to it gets a little bit, maybe we have a lot going on at all times, both from a calendar place and from a performance place. But I really think in this day and age, people are hungry for that. People are hungry for all of their senses to be engaged, and they're hungry for immersive experiences in all the ways that that manifests.
I mean, incredible. I just recently, and I've pulled it up here because I loved it so much, but Tara Gaines of I guess it's art. And
Arts and Culture Texas.
yes, she did an article that is just, and we'll add that link as well so people can read that. But of course, what she shares here is that when it comes to immersive performing, the immersive performing arts, no one in Houston and perhaps all of Texas is as bold as Open Dance Project. I mean, Annie, what you have done in a manner that, like you said, everyone can experience, really experience the emotion and the storytelling and bringing them into the best seat in the house. I love that that's the way you shared that because I've had the complete privilege of seeing most of your works, even when you were in Chicago. We've followed you because it's such a beautiful journey of making such a positive impact. And it's a beautiful way to do it. It's an inclusive way. We need inclusivity, right? More and more. And to educate and to allow people to experience emotion that maybe it's not safe or they don't feel that it's safe to do elsewhere. It's such a beautiful gift that you are sharing and making such a difference. We, as your 10th anniversary season, you are, and you touched on it a little bit about one of them, but the favorites, if you will, or some of the most impactful performances will be done throughout this year, correct?
Mhm.
And how did you choose? I'm going to let you tell. I mean, I know what my favorite is, but of the three that you're doing this year, tell us a little bit about why you chose these three performances.
I think they are my favorites because they engage this practice of immersive performance in three really different ways. And I think there also is there's just for each of them, the choices were very selfish. I did talk a little bit. You had mentioned you actually said Tara, but Tara
Oh,
Gaines, who has been just
Tara, Tara.
no, she's wonderful. She'll be used to that. But she's a wonderful writer who has come to all of the work really since Dada Garrett, which is one of
Mm,
the pieces that we're bringing back. But there is something about creating worlds. A lot of what I'm trying to do in this immersive work is create worlds and invite our audience into worlds that they haven't ever experienced before. So
hmm
some of that is because this is a future world with Panopticon. Some of that is because this is a historical world in another country, which is Weimar, Berlin, and Dada Garrett, which is our show we do in November. Some of this is because this is Texas. This in our Bonnie and Clyde show. This is Texas, but it's not a Texas that we grew up in. It's a Texas that formed what we are now living in. So we're traveling through time and place to
hmm
experience worlds we haven't experienced before. And in doing, very, very different worlds allows our design team and our artist team, myself included, to to generate new ideas and a completely new aesthetic in each place and time. So when we are Panopticon, which is this March show that we were talking about, that really it collides sort of a Brave New World, this kind of out of, Huxley Brave New World stuff, Orwell's 1984, Milton's Paradise Lost, which is not futuristic at all, but plays an important role. And then this French theory guy, Michel Foucault, who is kind of from the birth of postmodernism, but he studied these prisons that were developed by this guy Jeremy Bentham that are called the Panopticon. And the idea behind Panopticon is that all of the walls were glass and it was created in a tower. So only one prison guard would have to be present at a time. And they could see all of the prisoners, and that the prisoners, whether they were being looked at or not, were policed by the idea of being watched so they would behave.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot of, there's a lot of conversation around these ideas when you start thinking about, well, now, and me included, here at Under Dance Center, we've got cameras all over the place
Right.
because it
Right.
makes me feel safe, right? Because I want, when I am out in this public place, putting myself at a financial and business risk, and because I'm a teacher and there's all kinds of liability that goes around with that, I want to be watched in this moment, in this space. I certainly don't want to be watched at my home, right? There's different places, these private and public spaces, and thinking about, the safety or the discomfort of seeing and being seen. So we're working with kind of these big ideas with each of these shows. That's the Panopticon one over in Dada Garrett, where we're looking. Weimar Berlin is Berlin between World War One and Two. So it's the rise of incredible art. It's the beginning of Dada, of the Dada movement, that
Mm-hmm.
then spreads to it's in Paris, it's in New York, it happens globally, but there is a really interesting kind of Dada that happens in Berlin, because all Dada, the Dada movement around the world, was intentionally apolitical and absurdist. And in Weimar Berlin, they kind of couldn't get out of the political because it was their everyday. They're coming out of having been really destroyed in World War One. Berlin was just, smushed, and the people were really broken, and you've got lots of amputees and just very visible signs of the poverty and the destruction that happened from World War One, and they're trying to come out of that through art. And there is humor, and there is life, and there is color, and there is the beginning of film, and just all kinds of interesting technological advancements happening at this time, and people really clinging to each other out of desperation because they're sad, because they
Mm-hmm.
all suffered loss. And then there is, pretty quickly, this oppression that comes from the Nazi regime, right? That is starting to happen. The primary artist in this story is a woman named Valeska Garrett, who was a Jewish female, Jewish feminist artist, where there wasn't a whole lot of room for that at that time. And somebody who didn't believe in like sticking to the role she was given, whether it be, this role as a woman or this role as a modern dancer. She actually really rebelled against like modern dance as being a little too perfect and beautiful and removed. And she kind of wanted to get down and dirty in the real, like in the real stuff that was happening. So there's that whole world, so much to explore there. And then in Bonnie and Clyde, that is maybe the closest to home. Bonnie and Clyde was the closest to home, both because it was, we have like, there are excerpts from the Houston Chronicle that are in that show, so we are very local in some moments. And also, we have I think I maybe, and I'm not sure if I've talked this much with the family about this, but grandfather Nelson like appeared. So my great grandfather appeared in my research, and that was such a neat, and the first. Well, second, I have another show that has crossed over into family stuff, but that was the first that it is accidentally crossed over. I had vague notion that he was involved in some of that story, but really exciting to realize, okay, there is a direct person link,
Mm-hmm.
to the Bonnie and Clyde story. There is
Mm-hmm.
a direct artistic lineage link between me and Valeska Garrett. I very much feel like I wouldn't be doing what I was doing if she hadn't made the choices she made as an artist, and she ends up coming to the US. Spoiler alert. But so I really feel like she's a very big influence on what happened with dance and theater here in the US. And then the Panopticon is very much just an interest in looking at what is happening now in terms of and what has been happening in the last 10 years. Panopticon was we first started making that. I actually started making that and Dada Gear way back in 2008 is when I started making those shows. But they both had their performances in like 2017 and 2019 is when those were performed. So, and great
Yeah.
opportunities to revisit and make new, make new, make again, make new.
I love that make again, make new. And, I think about the Valeska Garrett, and I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that, but, we're coming up, I think it's March 8th, we have International Women's Day that is celebrated. And it makes me want to cry that what you're doing and the work you're doing and how that goes back and how that's touched on so often, but especially in this story. Really and truly, Annie, uh, uh, very quickly, how long does it take? Like 2008, you started working on a show and it came to life what year for the first time?
The Panopticon in 2019, it was performed, and Dada Garrett 2017. But the genesis of both those pieces is 2008.
And these pieces, these creations, these performances involve, you know, so many people. And these people, for you and these other amazing, your company is so amazing, but for all of these artists to put this together and the musicians that you choose and all the collaboration that goes on, this is all supported by donation, correct? This
It,
is individual donation. You are not receiving funds from other places in order to get these things done, correct?
there are grants that we are
Well, of course.
constantly applying for.
Yes.
But
Constantly.
all of those are individual donate, like people are
Yes.
funding those, that's just groups of people that we're saying, now you group of people or you family, will you please support us? So
Yes.
yes, yeah, we are not, there is not any constant guaranteed funding that
No.
happens with this. That it's all a big risk. But it's one we really believe in and one that we really we are so grateful, yes, for
Mm.
those individual donations, those, foundation donations really, may feel small when you're giving them, and they are so significant to us because I tell you what, we can get by on a wing and a prayer, and we do sometimes. We do a whole lot. I mean, our dancers are literally hammering and like our dancers are building sets with us. It's that kind of a work. And I love that. It's hard sometimes.
Yeah.
But we do a lot with a little, and every little bit means a lot. And
Mm.
it goes on the education side too. We can really transform some lives with, our resident. I mean, this is a quick math thing, but our residencies, our 6 week residencies cost $5,000. That is like, it's nothing, I mean, it is, and we can reach. So those 6 week residencies, we're working with, so that ends up working with 120 kids for 6 weeks. And over and over again. It's not a hello, we're going to do a show and say goodbye to you kind of work. Those six
Right.
week residencies, we are back and they are building their own material. They are learning things that are reading and, writing comprehension skills, all of that work, beyond just becoming great performers, which I think they are once we leave. We just
Right.
hope they keep doing it. But it's impactful. Those individual donations are absolutely necessary and incredibly impactful in ripples, not just us. It goes out.
That's what I was, and I love that you said that. It is a ripple effect. And, you know, um, let's face it, you are extremely gifted and intelligent, and you could have made any choice. And you have long ago, I remember you made a choice to dive into this world of art and creation, and mainly in order to make a positive impact and to educate and to create ripple effects that last and last. And, the appreciation, can't be described properly. However, I'm hoping so much that you get this audience. It's the time, the talent, and the treasure. And what Annie and her amazing company, what they are doing is creating a ripple effect throughout the community, which of course affects all of us positively. Anything that is good for many is good. And I want to make sure number one is follow Open Dance and follow Hunter Dance and this incredible child and learn more and more and more about what they're doing. I wish we had more time. I have so many more questions and so much more to share with Annie and with you all. But coming up is a wonderful event. It is, and if I put it correctly, it's the Diamond Gala.
Diamond disco. We're disco.
Diamond Disco. I love that. And this is coming up. Annie, tell us a little bit about that. We'll drop a link, of course. Please go there. This is an annual gala, but this is a big deal. 10 years. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
I mean, 10 years.
You.
Incredible.
It's kind of mind blowing.
It's
It is. I'm so proud of
before
it.
before we describe this, I want everyone to know this is what goes into a day in the life. Would you please share with us your schedule today?
Yes. So right after this wonderful time with my amazingly talented aunt, I'm going to I go to Travis Elementary in the Heights, which is one of our neighborhood schools over here. Heading over there, we're finishing a 7-week integrated arts residency that is reading and writing based, working through their dance program there, all about the wonderful Wizard of Oz and the original book, not Wicked or the movie. We're like looking at the book, and those kids have adapted it for performance and music and dance. So we have a performance of our culminating performance after 7 weeks there, and that'll be with my other artists will help me in that. Then from there, I go to the Hub, which is this amazing school and center for teens and young adults with autism and other neurological differences. It is my new love. I've decided when I retire from dance, which I'll have to be so old to ever do that. I'm going to retire to the Hub. This will be the announcement. I think I've already told them that. But those students are so amazing, and we're working with them. We're kind of calling it, the Hub Dance Project, trying to lift them up, empower their creative voices. They are an incredible ensemble of young people to work with. And that's really diving into our dance and disability work. Then from there, I'll rush back and get on another Zoom meeting with Miller Outdoor Theater. We are opening their season March 28th with a big giant on that beautiful Miller stage performance of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. That is our all ages show. It has Ariel, it has dance, it has everything you want is in there, clowning, the whole bit. So we have a tech production meeting for that, where we talk to all of their tech crew and tech director to make sure we have all the production sides of that figured out. And then then I'll fix a floor. I have to fix a dance floor in Studio 4, where we have a little bubble happening in our dance floor. So I've got to fix that. And then and then I'll come back and be teaching students, my pre-professional students. I'll be teaching Ballet 3 and Ballet 4 today. So all of that's going in, and somewhere in there, I have to work on an outline for an upcoming meeting about Midsummer Night's Dream, which is our next all ages show and a collaboration we're doing with Two Star Symphony. So I have a meeting coming up with that amazing group of musicians who are also Houston based, and they are fabulous, but they are very hungry because I got to give them that show is in a year, just to kind of think about how things happen. But I have to give them a full outline of that show so they can start composing the music for that show, which will open in January and February 2026. So that's today.
That is today. And what she did not mention is she has two incredible
Wonderful.
kiddos that she'll be checking in with and, doing
I
all the
pick
things.
them up at 3:30 in between
There
there.
you
Pick
go.
them up, and then they hang out here in the office quite a bit.
Oh my gosh. And then, of course, her adorable husband. I just do not know how to put enough emphasis on the importance of what we can do financially in any way. I just, as she said, we might not think we're giving a lot because certainly we cannot give enough to say thank you. However, every little bit helps, and spread the word and attend the shows and follow along. Anything we can do, audience, I know that you are blown away. I've been watching this amazing child blossom since birth, and I'm still mind blown every time we have a conversation. I'm like, okay, well, that's amazing. Anyway, thank you, Annie, from the bottom of my heart. And I know everyone that hears this says thank you for the difference that you and your amazing company are making, and your dedication and your commitment and sharing your incredible God-given gifts with the world. Thank you.
You are so welcome. I am so grateful to have these conversations, and thank you.
Thank you. Have an incredible day. Good God, be careful. And as you're going from one place to the next, and audience, I can't wait to see you again. And thank you, Father, and thank all of y'all. Love you, Annie.
Amen. All right. Thank you.